Now then folks, this is a bit of an update. Earlier on in the year, or a while ago, I did a video about this air chisel and I couldn't get it to work. And I can't remember now, but to repeat myself, earlier on in the year I had a bit of a road trip up to the north and I met up with Owen of the Boots Owen channel, and Ian Helsby of Ian Helsby Services came down and we all had a bit of a get together, and it was great. It was great to meet up with Ian. Anyway, in amongst everything we were sharing bits and pieces and exchanging them and everything like that, and Ian had seen the video about this air chisel and he gave me a spare valve. He bought some valves, yeah, and if you remember, in the bottom of here, on the bottom of that cylinder, there's this valve, okay, and he seemed to think that was the trouble, and the one I had wouldn't come apart, but he provided me with a new one. He'd bought some, and here's the one, and I did eventually get it to come apart. And it was a bit tight, but in there's this little disc, yeah, and that's a little valve. Anyway, I'll put that together back together in a moment. So what I did was I put the new valve from Ian in this. Initially it didn't work, right, but only because there was a bit of muck in the bottom of this aluminium casing. Cleaned that out. I thought I'd cleaned it anyway, but obviously not good enough. Put the new valve in, away it went. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much to Ian for providing these bits. He also provided me with some chisels, which is great, yeah, a hammer and a riveting piece and a small riveting, which is great, absolutely marvellous. So it's great to have this working, yeah, so it's something that's been saved from being just crushed. And team spirit works, and if you're part of a group who are just looking out for each other, then that's great. And of course you didn't have to be all local, yeah, and you have to apply the theory of it'll all come together in the end, which is marvellous. And of course Ian is part of my Patreon support group, and he's one of the longest members, which is, thank you Ian, much appreciated, yeah. There's a weird thing going on with YouTube. It's constantly changing and they're constantly trying to extract more from it, yeah. And as I've said in the past, everybody has to realise what enough is, yeah, rather than getting dragged along by more. Anyway, with YouTube there's this weird sort of cut off on the videos, or so it seems. And Fran from Fran Lab, and she did a video a few days ago. It's entitled something like, how much does it cost to get a viral video? But in amongst that, she's mentioning that her videos, there's almost like you can see the, where are we? you could see the views going up like that on a graph, and then it just goes flat. And I've noticed that in a much more reduced fashion, that videos will get really quite popular, lots of watchers, yeah, and then it goes flat. Then the views are very steady, and it's almost as if YouTube now have become almost mainstream, in so much as a lot of the big players are very commercial and they're demanding more, and so the smaller people, the videos either are just not available, or they don't happen in a feed or something like that, because the views virtually stop. And for me, it's like 2 or 3 days and then you don't get any more views at all, which is a bit weird, and it's sort of quite off-putting. The idea, as far as I can see, is YouTube is there to help people out. This is how you do this, this is how you do that, yeah, and it's a fight back against corporate banditry, yeah, and built-in obsolescence. But of course Google is part of the corporate world, and so therefore they're not really, it seems like they're not really interested in that philosophy of helping people to help themselves. Just the corporate world is quite insane and greedy. And anyway, that's the rant over. I'm just saying that there's something weird going on yet again, yeah. But bottom line, my Patreon supporters help quite a lot. I don't do mid-roll ads and things like that, yeah, so I keep the AdSense intrusion down to a minimum. But this is working. I'm just going to get the airline and show you it working. It's going to be a bit noisy. I'll just show you this. I can't remember whether I've shown you these before. Lidded jars. And that's to be decorated and glazed. Right, let's put the airline to this. Right, I've switched the compressor off, but we've got air here. There we go. Brilliant, eh? Absolutely brilliant. And it's got quite a lot of power. That's about 120 pounds there of pressure. It's been a collective effort to get this going, and it'll be very useful, yeah. So comments, discussion, yeah. It's interesting that I finally got that valve apart, and you found the little flapper, and it was the one that I took apart there. That flapper valve was stuck. You clean that off, clean the bottom of the aluminium housing quite well, yeah. And I've got another interesting thing that I'd just like to show you. And here we go. This is the valve. You've got that rod with a tapered rubber seal on it, and that goes on there, and the trigger pushes this against that spring and opens that valve. So that's how that works. That goes up in there, and then this goes on the end. So effectively, you know, that's flopping around like mad. Put that in there, yeah, that works. There, like that. It's pushing back, right, and as you push down, that tapered rubber plug opens up and lets the air through. So it really is quite a simple valve system, nothing special. This little twirly thing, wind it down and it lets more air through. Wind it too far up and it won't work. Now this reminds me of, I took apart, hang on a minute, this AirCat impact driver quite a long time ago now, and I had quite a bit of trouble with the trigger and I didn't quite work out how it worked, and it works on a very similar principle to this, apart from there's the rod. Instead of pushing it like that, it just pushes it sideways to let the air through. But this has been very useful. When I got that big 684 International, the wheels were set so really wide apart, as wide as they could go, so I had to jack everything up, have the wheels off and turn them round. But one side came undone alright, but the other side, the wheel nuts were sea solid, and you could obviously see that it'd been parked in a shed the same way all the time, and that was the weather side. So this really came in very handy. It was worth fixing. It took quite a long time to fix it, and there was a lot of soaking in diesel, but it works great. Anyway, comments and discussion. I always like to hear your comments. Thanks to all my Patreon supporters, and I shall catch you on the next one. I don't know what's happening with Google, YouTube, but we're being limited in some way. The big boys, the big commercial boys, are wanting more. Bad scene, man.